Alright, we're gonna be rating every single player in the Blue Lock versus U20 match, so all 14 players from Blue Lock side and all 12 players from the U20 side. There were some players that were putting on a performance of a lifetime, solo carrying the team, and then there were some Mickey Mouse frauds running around the field and doing nothing. So I'm rating each player individually based on their performance or impact on the game, rating them from 1 through 10 and giving them a letter grade. This is all so we could find out who actually helped in the game versus who should never be allowed to touch a football again, starting with our main character, Isagi Yoichi. Now, Isagi throughout the whole game actually put up some good feats and served us a good performance. At the start, he was kind of just there, not really doing anything. Every single one of his plays were getting shut down by Aiku or Sae. In fact, Isagi was more or less spectating in the first half, watching everyone else do their plays. But we know our boy will always cook. After Isagi puts on his thinking cap and we see the puzzle pieces flowing, we know Isagi is starting to understand it now. The Isagi stock started rising like crazy, his chemical reactions with Rin, and then the plays started to be centered around him. You got Nagi passing to him, Karasu supporting him, Barou devouring him. All of it was centered around Isagi's plays. All of a sudden, his Disney performance turned into an Avengers level threat, where the final boss Itoshi Sae even had to step in and said he was the heart of Blue Lock. If we're being honest, Isagi planned this whole play out and even got rid of Aiku. If Itoshi Sae didn't come in like the Mystic Man, he probably would have scored here instead of Barou. But of course, Isagi's biggest play is the final goal in overtime. This is the biggest clutch of all time. By predicting that Rin would beat Sae, only Isagi stood in a place where he can get lucky enough to get the ball, and he scored because of it, saving Blue Lock. That feat alone could raise his grade and performance by tenfold. Blue Lock made it out of the mud and didn't get shut down solely because of Isagi. I mean, he literally won them the game, and the post-game interview was aura. Overall, Isagi deserves an A and 9 out of 10 performance from our boy. Unfortunately, not everyone put up a good performance like Isagi. Someone who played in the forward position just like him was Sendou from the U20. This guy was a nothing sandwich during the U20. He was self-glazing himself like he was not of this earth, too good for other humans like Shidou and Sae. And as the main forward, his confidence makes you think he would make a light work of Blue Lock just another day at the office. But then we get into the game and see him actually start playing, immediately missing a shot. Props to Gagamaru for blocking, but what the hell, man? This guy hyped himself up as the GOAT, and the first thing we see him is fumble the bag. Even Itoshi Sae jumped on him, started treating Sendou like he was in a COD lobby. You would think that this would be a rude awakening for Sendou. Maybe he gets some sort of new power, pulls some tricks out of the hat, but then as soon as you think he's gonna do something, he fumbles again. He starts playing the woe is me card in halftime, acting like he was the problem, and yeah, you should be, bro. These numbers ain't looking too good. I think Sendou actually dropped the bag on every single shot, but it's not like he didn't do anything. He helped Shidou move upfield by passing to him, mirroring what Isagi does to Rin, and then his biggest play came from blocking Bachira's shot last second. But let's rewind a second. Isn't it, bro, a forward? This was obviously clutch and probably saved the U20 from getting even more embarrassed, but bro, you're supposed to be scoring goals. Didn't do his job as a forward and then lost his job as a forward. Sendou gets a C- and a 4.5 out of 10. That's being generous because the block was clutch. Let's talk about someone who played a different position though. Karasu on Blue Lock side played defensive midfielder. Karasu is the perfect example of still putting in work even if you're not scoring goals. He had good leadership skills, calling for defense and attack, even taking part of it himself. Like how he stalled Itoshi Sae and became the last helper for Isagi's play, which eventually led to Barou's goal. So yeah, good call from Karasu. Karasu was actually really good at bringing the ball upfield. He understood the assignment that Blue Lock was only gonna win if they played super aggressive. And we see him moving up with Chigiri and Otoya, even analyzing the Iron Wall quartet to see what Blue Lock can do. Not only that, Karasu was yelling his heart out, having good communication. It felt like every time he talked in the last half, it was like Irwin's speech. Honestly, it started to motivate me. Karasu is Goldilocks approved, not too hot, not too cold, just right in the middle, and just a bit more. So Karasu getting a B, 7 out of 10. But the other defensive midfielder on the U20 side, Itsuki Wakatsuki, is so forgettable. I don't think anyone remembers his name. I had to even search it up. This might just be the worst performance in the entirety of the U20. I don't understand how this guy is part of the main squad because we saw him do absolutely nothing. This is a Mickey Mouse performance at its finest. I genuinely have no good words to say about him. He didn't have a single feat or play besides going in front of Rin and talking. Anyone can talk. I can talk. This kid in the stands can talk. In fact, send him in for Wakatsuki. He could probably do more than this guy. Was he allergic to the ball? Did it increase his eye bags even more? more, I'm pretty sure this guy was the sole reason why Itoshi Sae wanted to drop out of the U20. When Sae agreed to this match, he watched the U20 Japan's games and realized he's cooked, so he at least needs Shidou. This guy must have been the turning point for him. This sad level of playing eventually got him subbed out for Shidou, so in the end, Wakatsuki actually did nothing. This is a straight F. 0 out of 10, he failed the test. It honestly would have been better if he didn't show up. While we're on the topic of the worst performances, let's talk about BLUELOCK's worst player during this game, which was Otoya Eita. This guy unfortunately put up the worst numbers during the U20. This was both a Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse performance because Otoya has fallen from grace. Keep in mind, Otoya was number 4 and scored a lot during the 3rd selection, but during the U20, all of those skills disappeared and we were left with this underwhelming performance. Otoya started the match off immediately getting locked up by Dairai Miroku. It's kind of unlucky he has to go against someone with the same exact weapon as him, but you can just say he got outclassed. Every time Otoya tried to move up, Dairai hit the hell nah button, which unfortunately meant Otoya got reduced to a nothing sandwich. But even then, he still did a little bit, moving upfield with Karasu as well as getting one shot attempt off, which did end up getting blocked, so I guess it resulted in nothing. Come on, man, we were number 4. We were expected to put up prime MJ numbers. What kind of take this and take that attack was this? When you compare Otoya's performance to everyone else during the U20, where people defended, scored goals, and even got past the person he couldn't get past, yeah, it's obvious he has the worst performance. End of the day, Otoya gets a D, 2 out of 10 performance for a previous number 4 player. Let's stop with the negativity though and move to one of the GOATs of the game, Gagamaru. Gagamaru was like the elastic waistband this match, Elastigirl stretching everywhere to block all the shots. Considering this is his first time playing goalkeeper and somehow doing better than the U20 goalkeeper, and boy, do I have a few choice words for you, Gagamaru was like the underdog you were always rooting for. He made around 3 blocks, maybe even more in this match, and the ones he didn't block made a lot of sense, like Shidou's big bang drive. He actually made the right play here. Mario jumping outside the area would have gotten anyone, but of course, it's the one person it didn't work against. Gagamaru single-handedly saved the team so many times that we have to give him an A- performance, 8.5 rating for one of the GOATs. And you should definitely hit the subscribe button if you want to be a GOAT too. Not an actual GOAT, but that greatest of all time. Shameless plug aside, the other goalkeeper for the U20 side isn't anywhere near GOAT status, because how can he get outclassed by a first-time goalkeeper? I understand that Gagamaru was just built different, but you are a paid man to do this. How are you missing more than a first-timer? This should be a noob versus pro. If anything, Gagamaru just exposed how big of a fraud this guy is. All he does is just have this moai emoji face every time he's on screen and then miss blocks. The only 2 blocks he made was against Rin, the first one where he copied Sae's shot, and then the second one he had help from Aiku. And man, if he didn't block the shot, I think he would genuinely get tomatoes thrown at him walking out. The bar is somehow so low that him making 2 blocks is actually a good performance for the U20 squad. So he did his job, but not really. C- and a 4 out of 10 for Fukaku Gen. Let's highlight some of the defenders though, because that's where the U20 really tends to shine. The U20 captain, Oliver Aiku, deserves a standing ovation. Not only for his performance, but also his mental strength for playing with these people around him. He has no help. The U20 team could be renamed to Aiku and the Trash Can Friends. You can tell that Aiku was gonna be a threat the second he was shown on screen. He was immediately doing something. In fact, even getting hyped up before the match started. Stopping the first play, stealing possession, blocking shots. Aiku was just teleporting everywhere, defending the whole match. If I was Isagi, I'd be confused by this guy too, because he started flying to hit some blocks. Did he turn creative mode on? What is happening? That wasn't even Aiku's prime though, because he awakened towards the end of the game, almost stopping Rin's destroyer mode and even almost scoring. Without Aiku, BLUELOCK would have just steamrolled through the U20, and he was also keeping Isagi down the whole time. So honestly, Aiku's getting an A+, our first 10 out of 10 for this list. While we're here though, let's talk about the rest of the Iron Wall quartet. Dairai Miroku was the guy with the off-the-ball movements. Honestly, this weapon would have confused a lot of people. He was just phasing everywhere with a bunch of after images. Is this a velocity edit? What is going on here? His weapon actually proved useful though, because he was able to stop Otoya fully, shutting down one of BLUELOCK's main attacking options. But him going against Otoya was just a straight mid-off. I'm not gonna lie, who is more mid? Besides the clown music playing over him all the time, and the fact that they add random effects or lightning to his character every time he appears, he honestly did pretty decent. He can't really go any higher because the second Barou entered the pitch, pitch, he sort of became useless, but he still did something. B- and a 6 out of 10 for Dairai Miroku, but someone did even better than him, and that was Neo Kazuma. This was the physical defender of the quartet. Not gonna lie, how was this guy under 20? Bro, go pay off your mortgage and return to your wife and kids. But besides his looks, he actually had a lot of feats in this match, stopping Nagi, blocking Otoya's shot, forcing Nagi to pass. He did his job and more. So honestly, a B performance for Neo Kazuma, which is really good for U20 standards, 7 out of 10. The last of the 4 is Neru Teppei, who was the speedster of the group. He stopped Yukimiya, who was the self-proclaimed one-on-one emperor, but after that, he kind of just disappeared, failing to stop Yukimiya during flow, and then Rin just annihilating him with destroyer mode. Neru Teppei did something, and that's about it for his highlights. C- and a 4 out of 10. Honestly, you could have excluded him from the quartet and made it a trio, and it would have been the exact same. The defenders on BLUELOCK side weren't all that bad either. We had Ryu and Nico. Ryu, the long-legged guy who was previously number 2 in BLUELOCK, became a defender, and this was a perfect position for him, being able to use his legs for defense. He didn't do too much, but the little things he did was very, very important. Blocking Itoshi Sae's shot last second, which saved them from another goal. And the line he dropped after that was straight aura, telling everyone he was shining. We do see him around after this, but not doing a lot. He did his job. Overall, mid performance, so 5 out of 10, and a C for Ryu. Nico on defense was low-key the truth. Young prodigy at 15 years old. He was stopping at BLUELOCK's number 2, Shidou, pretty decently. It was kind of useless because Shidou ended up scoring still, and he got a card, but he did end up stopping a play. He also stopped the play from Sendou and gained aura from this line talking about crushing the forwards, so a B- performance from Nico, 6 out of 10. I think he did better than Ryu. There was like 2 defenders on BLUELOCK side, but we got a lot of forwards. Let's talk about a big one, Nagi Seishiro. Of course, Nagi scored the opening goal for BLUELOCK, and the fashion he did it in was so stylish. That alone gives him so many brownie points. You can say that this goal really introduced BLUELOCK to Japan and Nagi himself. This goal was just an aura farm. When everyone saw this goal, I think we reacted the same way everyone in the stands did. Honestly, after this, Nagi didn't really do too much. We do see him get some passes to Isagi and also defend, but it's the lazy genius. We can't expect too much from him. If we're being real, his existence itself was a threat since they were guarding Nagi after the goal. So he scored a goal, which is huge. I think I'm gonna give Nagi a B+, an 8 out of 10 performance from the lazy genius. Some other fan favorites is of course our boys Bachira and Chigiri. Now honestly, for how important they were during the first part of BLUELOCK, carrying games legit by themselves, having an important role in almost every game, they were kind of sidelined here. Like, you're telling me Bachira really only did one thing in this match when he was smoking everyone in the previous games? Because when you look at the Bachira highlights, you'd be surprised yourself. He had only one really good run with Monster Trance, but didn't score. I still think he got robbed here. And even though he got some passes off, he didn't land any actual assists or stop any of the U20 attacks. So it's controversial, but for this match specifically, Bachira is gonna get a C, a 5 out of 10 in mid performance from our boy, which shouldn't be the case. Same thing with the speedster, Chigiri Hyoma. Fans were crying just as much as him when you look at the stats. He almost blocked Shidou Ensai's first chemical reaction. Keyword almost. And he also did help get the ball upfield, being the only one to do so with his speedy legs. But he ran out of stamina in the first half since he was running literally everywhere between defense and offense. And that's about it for the Chigiri highlights. I understand that everyone had an important role. Like, we needed Bachira to dribble past everyone. We needed Chigiri to run up. But compared to the others that scored goals and everything else, they didn't have that much of an impact. Overall though, Chigiri still did solid. Like, you wouldn't be flaming him like some of the other players on this list, so I would give him a C-, 4.5 out of 10 for Chigiri. We're more than halfway done with 10 players left, so let's talk about someone everyone has been waiting for, Shidou Ryusei. This guy came onto the field quite literally and changed everything for the U20 Japan. They went from a little league playing to an actual team just because of one player substitution, and probably the fact they removed this guy for him as well. Dude, you're so useless. Shidou was like a secret weapon from Mars sent to destroy BLUELOCK. When they said he was going 1 versus 21, that should just tell you the Avengers level threat that's coming. His nickname is the Zesty Demon. I don't know if we should be scared or confused, but this is Crash Out personified. The second he hopped into the pitch, he almost made a goal, if not for Nico stopping him last second. He was actually going for the 112, any percent speed run, because he just entered and then got a goal immediately from a chemical reaction with Sae. As well as just his aura made Nico and Reo have to permanently mark Shidou in order to stop him. And then of course, course, we had him giving everyone a biology lesson, and I've watched my fair share of anime to know when a character starts yapping about their philosophies, they're about to pull off some buffoonery. Eventually, this leads to the Big Bang Drive goal, which was the jaw-dropping moment of the game, arguably the best goal in that whole match. He gave everyone on BLUELOCK's side a wet willy, gave the U20 the lead, and continued to do more after that. Blocking Rin with Aiku, having everyone from BLUELOCK, from Rin to Ryo to Isagi, having to deal with him. In an alternate universe where Shidou didn't join the U20, this match would have just been boring because BLUELOCK would have walked all over the Japan team. Shidou single-handedly carried that. It's obvious, immediate A+ for Shidou, 10 out of 10 performance from the Zesty Demon. But a not-so 10 out of 10 performance comes from Kento Cho, the other forward from the U20 squad. Genuinely, I would have never guessed the U20 had other forwards. This guy is so forgettable, the wiki says nothing is known about his personality. At most, he had one shot attempt and got past RU and Hiyori, so at least he did more than this useless guy. We're moving on, D- 2 out of 10 for Cho. For this next guy, I guarantee you don't know who this guy is. If there was a toy gun to my head asking me if I knew who this guy was, I don't think I'd be here. Haru Hayate was the defensive midfielder, but since all the focus was on the Iron Wall quartet for defense, this guy was more of a spectator. I'm not gonna lie, what the hell is this guy even thinking? Most of the time we see him just running around playing Dance Dance Revolution or having a surprised Pikachu face looking at BLUELOCK play. I'm honestly blinking thinking of anything this guy did, so F, 1 out of 10 for Haru Hayate, but he's probably not as useless as Wakatsuki. Let's switch over to BLUELOCK's side so we can talk about some actual competent players. Hiyori and Ryo were the first subs on BLUELOCK's side, and they actually did a lot. Specifically Ryo, this guy might have been the biggest underdog in the match. When you go look at his highlights, it's deserving of a cookie. Because the second he came in, he tightened the defense for BLUELOCK, shutting down plays by using his copy weapon, and he had the very important job of countering Shidou, which he did super well on many different occasions. One time with the Aiku snake, a second time with the Neo copy, and a third time limiting his scoring options. This is some defense numbers you'd put a sports bet on. It doesn't even stop there since Ryo stole possession after Shidou's failed shot, copying Nagi, which eventually resulted in Barou's goal, and then we see him constantly getting the ball up as a defender. He actually blocked more shots than RU and Nico combined. This is the stuff we like, man. You lost some aura in the second selection, but you came back tough. So for this match, I'm putting Ryo at a B+, an 8 out of 10 performance. The other sub Hiyori didn't do as much, but he was still super important, stealing possession and moving upfield, hitting a lot of passes, and he did clutch receive the ball for BLUELOCK in the last fight, but Rin did end up stealing it. He did his job, and that's passable, so I would say 5 out of 10 for Hiyori, a solid C. There's a few more important players. Yukimiya is one of them for BLUELOCK. He was one of the main attacking options for BLUELOCK, the number 5 in the facility. Honestly, he did a lot during the game, but that was a whole lot of nothing. 2 missed shots, and he actually did dribble past everyone, but it still resulted in nothing. In fact, Aiku stopped him and got possession. I feel like Yukimiya should have got 1 goal, but maybe plot nerfed him so that other players could get a goal instead. Overall, a mid performance, so 5 out of 10 as well. Someone that did get a goal, though, was, of course, Barou Shouei, the third and last sub for BLUELOCK. This guy was straight aura farming the second he entered the pitch. Actually, the whole time he was here, he was pulling something devious. Barou was an anomaly on the field, someone unpredictable, and played so crazy that it threw everyone off. You got players making faces like this, so you know it's serious. Of course, Barou's best feat comes from scoring a goal. This goal was actually impressive, holding back 2 of the Iron Wall quartet, and he perfectly read the game to steal Rin and Isagi's spotlight. His goal celebration gave him some extra brownie points too. Barou made a huge impact the second he subbed into the game, so A-, 8.5 out of 10 for him. We're at the last 3 players. Usually you'd save the best for last, but this guy is far from it. Kitsune from the U20 was putting up the Mickey Mouse performance of a century. It's another situation where he was there in the match, but he did a whole lot of nothing. He actually received a pass from Sae and got a shot off. It again resulted in nothing. There ain't anything to smile about when you're putting up a Mickey Mouse performance, buddy. How are you gonna fumble the 1 gifted chance you had? This haircut doesn't help as well. This guy can seriously kick rocks, but since he did something, which is good for U20 standards, doing at least something, D- for Kitsune, 2 out of 10. The last 2 players are probably who you've all been waiting for, the Itoshi brothers, Itoshi Rin, and Itoshi Sae. Let's start with Rin. It's no doubt he was the best player on BLUELOCK side, being the captain, having the attack formation centered around him, and also scoring a goal. The fact that he was a center forward too, but somehow played all positions, defending, bringing the ball up, also gives him some points for flexibility. But when you look at the little things he does, like linking up with Itoshi Sae, blocking Shidou, Sendou, and Aiku shots, all of the good players from that team. To top it all off, Destroyer Mode beat the Iron Wall quartet. He almost solo clutched the end of the game, and he beat his brother, leading to Isagi's goal. That should be enough evidence for you. A+, 10 out of 10 performance for Rin. But what about Itoshi Sae? Of course, Sae is going to be highly rated here, but when you factor in his team, you got to give Sae even more props. He was playing with a handicap. Not only was he hyped up for this match, he delivered on it tenfold. People came to watch him specifically. Just from the start, Itoshi Sae was absolutely insane. The second he got the ball, you'd see a final boss health bar appear on the top of your screen. He immediately gets a pass to Sendou, and then when he fumbled it, Sae just got mad and said, nah, I'm gonna do this myself. Immediately scoring a goal in the first minutes of the game, and not to mention how hard this goal was, and then his goal celebration was just to stand there. The ending of just the first half, Sae also pulled out whatever the hell this move was, and almost scored again if RU wasn't there. His big impact comes from the second half though, when Shidou enters and he's able to hit all these insane passes that can actually do something now. Threading the needle for passes, stealing possession, what can't this guy do is a better question. And then we get to the last part of the game and he pulls out the oldest trick in the book, the I'm gonna start trying card. I don't believe it. This guy wasn't trying this whole time. And it was evident because Sae starts passing the team by himself. Itoshi Sae starts to dribble and starts passing the players other than Shidou. BLUELOCK had one insurance plan for Sae, but this is like him opening 10,000 other paths. If you were watching or reading this, every time Sae would get the ball, your heart would drop. You just know they had a chance now. And of course, they literally saved the budget for his scene against Rin, so that just tells you how important he is. The fact that he almost solo clutched again, if it weren't for Rin, this game was just filled with solo clutches by Sae, scoring a goal, assisting goals, defending, getting past the team by himself, and the aura he had while playing with this Mickey Mouse and New Age Avengers team gives Sae an easy A++, 11 out of 10 performance. All right, that's rating every player's performance in the U20 game. Damn, that was a lot of players. There was a lot in this game, so let me know if you agree or disagree with this list or what you would change in this list. And if you watched to the end, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.